Hey there, my name's Niandra, and I wanted to make a quick video on some bad habits that I commonly see myself or other Mercy players make. Obviously, there's a lot of ways to misplay with Mercy, but I wanted to focus on a couple that can be fixed relatively easily. As like a side note, I personally feel the worst habit you can have is healing allies that are full health instead of damage boosting, but I already covered that in depth with my last guide, so I'll skip over it here. Anyway, let's get started. Number 1. Tunneled healing. One thing I've seen Mercy players do in the past is that they'll have an ally out of beam range that needs healing, in this case McCree, and an ally in range that doesn't need healing, namely Hanzo. The Mercy player will then heal the Hanzo because they're thinking about McCree's health and getting to him, even though that Hanzo is doing damage or would just generally benefit from damage boost more. There's also going to be lots of moments where more than one ally is injured, and although it is a big factor, you ultimately can't base priority off health number alone. For example, a tank at half HP has more health than a DPS missing a small chunk, which can also be useful to keep in mind. Number 2. Pointless and constant jumping. This isn't just Mercy mains, but I have seen a lot of them start jumping around like a rabbit on crack the moment they start taking damage. Against players with weaker mechanical skill, it can be quite effective, but if your opponent is semi-competent, jumping will make you easier to hit because, well, you can only go up followed by down. Generally, people suggest a mixture of jumps and crouches to be less predictable. In regards to Mercy specifically, aimless jumping is especially detrimental because she cannot jump into a crouch GA, which is needed for super jump. When you jump, you need to wait for Mercy's boots to basically hit the floor before you can crouch GA. I looked at a few VODs of mine where I felt like my movement was just really shitty and crunchy, and it's because in a moment of panic, I would jump, try to crouch GA, not be able to, and just fly to allies who were in dangerous positions without then being able to go upwards. I was then just stuck next to them while they were fighting an enemy instead of being able to use upwards movement to get to safety. It sounds so obvious to say take advantage of Mercy's mobility, but the best way to dodge damage is to not be in view of it in the first place. Number 3. Autopiloting. So what this means is simply zoning out and letting instincts take over. Instead of thinking about whether a player is good or not, you just go for it. The best thing for fighting autopilot is generally just taking a break every few hours or after 2 losses, but there's a couple of other things that can help as well. I find it really useful to ask myself or my teammates questions to get my brain going, usually during the downtime. Another thing that can really help is just forcing your eyes out of the center of the screen area and look more around the edges, like just give them a quick flick every so often. Similar to my first section, another example is when you're at point A and your goal is point B, say an ally across the objective that's heavily injured. If you are on autopilot, you will simply go towards point B. You won't take into consideration any of the risk factors that lie between you two, whereas someone who's thinking, well, they'll ask themselves, can I even save this person? Because flying to an ally that's gonna die anyway will likely leave Mercy unprotected for a second or two. They'll also ask, can our other healer handle it? This is especially important to consider when your injured ally is on high ground out of view. A Mercy that's not paying attention will just repeatedly try to spam GA, maybe they'll even walk into the fight and take damage while it happens. A Mercy that is paying attention will immediately realise they can't make it and look for other plays. If that player has been tracking the positions of their team, which Mercy generally should, they may know of an alternative path. Number 4. Toggle GA tunnel vision. What that means is, when you have Toggle Guardian Angel set off, you can hold down your GA key while there's no ally in your crosshair and you'll automatically fly once there is, which on cannot do. Off is fantastic for so many reasons, however, using it mindlessly, which I absolutely did when I first started using it, can really muddy your movement and lead to a lot of wasted Guardian Angels. For example, if an ally behind me walks into view, I might accidentally target them instead and do a tiny stutter GA that leaves me in the same spot with my ability on cooldown. On a similar note, another thing I used to do was hold it down the moment I respawned, then an ally would spawn in front of me. This might not really look like anything, but if I'm in a situation where it's urgent that I get back to my team like 2 CP defense, then the half second wasted and lack of GA might actually be pretty harmful. And last of all, number 5, the Zarya Priority. So what do I mean by this? Well, imagine your team is attacking the first point of Hanamura, you've lost the fight, and you, Ashe and Zarya are trying to fall back. Out of instinct, you may gravitate towards focusing your healing on Ashe as you do so because her health pool is smaller and she's a squishy. However, remember that Zarya loses all of her energy when she dies. This means Zarya usually has more to lose by dying than other characters on your team who can ultimately just respawn. If you're in a position where your team is falling back and you believe the enemy isn't going to aggressively push you while doing so, getting your high charge Zarya out alive should be one of your highest priorities. That being said, characters with shields as part of their base health are interesting because it regenerates naturally over time. For example, in this clip, I beam at Zarya until she has a bit of shield back, then leave her to regen the rest while I help another ally that also needs healing, so that could be useful to consider as well. And that is all from me for this quick little video. Thank you so much for watching and have a nice day.